This is Eli the Eliminator, formerly Mad Maxx. Give me back my pro wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
For those who don't know, now you know, baby. This is Hot Rod Biggs, Jared, Jimmy Street. We're going to take them to the limit one more time, baby, right here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And today I am here with the one and only host of This Month in Wrestling History, the Territory Wrestling Guru, Quinton Quarisma. What's up, Q? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, brother. Good, brother. You know, just doing the thing. Got a lot of cool things going on. But today we've got Eli the Eliminator on the show today. And he is doing a Captain's Corner, Captain's Hidden Treasure virtual signing January 10th on Facebook. So y'all be there, be square for that. But tell us what you know about Eli the Eliminator, Q.
I remember him, like I said, a little bit of UWF that would get sporadic here in Nashville, and then we'd see him in the magazines, and then actually before he even got, because that magazine coverage is, months behind, he pops up in World Class, and that's pretty much where I really remember him from, was his time down in World Class.
Yeah, me too. That's essentially the only time I think I ever saw him on TV that I knowingly remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, good, great build. He was a jacked dude. Had a cool gimmick. I mean, it was Mad Maxx and Eli the Eliminator. It's cool. I'm excited to get to talk to him. But, most importantly, this is a cool opportunity to meet a Territory Pro wrestler through Captain's Corner. So January 10th on Facebook, the Captain's Hidden Treasure virtual signing. Y'all don't miss that with Eli the Eliminator. Of course, last episode, we had a very special episode in a tribute to the pride of Lebanon, Virginia, Hoot Gibson. And we had his friend Ronnie Garvin and our friend of the show, Jamie Combs, on. I thought that was a lot of fun, man. A really, really touching tribute. I really hope everyone enjoyed that. What did you think about that one, Q?
I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, Ronnie Garvin, he was really, really friends with him, not wrestling friends, but actually real friends away from the business, which it's always good to hear, that, because you always hear the wrestling stories of friends, and their buddies, but to actually hear real life away from wrestling, and they stayed friends, all the way up to the end, which is really cool.
Yeah. Honestly, like I said in the last episode, as a wrestling fan growing up in Lebanon, Virginia, you heard about Hoot Gibson all the time. It's just crazy to know that Ronnie Garvin, while I was picking my nose somewhere in a playpen, probably, Ronnie Garvin was shooting frogs in a pond like less than a mile away from me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah, it was like surreal to hear a lot of those stories and know that Ronnie Garvin was just hanging out, like, man, what was I doing? No excuse. You're only in diapers. You can't barely walk. It's no excuse, But yeah, man. So anyway, we've heard a lot of cool responses, downloads, numbers, all looking great on that show. Thank you all so much for that. It was really a passion project of ours, and had a lot of fun doing that. And really, it's been something that we'd meant to do for a long time. So thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Hoot. I hope y'all enjoyed that. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. To continue on, there's always talk about Captain's Corner, and I know this show's about Captain's Corner today, But honestly, Portland Wrestling Expo 2, Saturday, February 21st, the Holiday Inn Portland Airport, 8439 Northeast Columbia Court, Portland, Oregon. You know, Q, I got to say this, man. With all this stuff about Portland, I've really been noticing an uptick in Portland numbers. It's really cool to see that, of course, they're wanting to hear the guests that are going to be at the Portland Wrestling Expo, and to see an uptick. I think like we've seen like a 17% increase in just Portland. So it's awesome. And that's huge for us, you know, so that means a lot. And we're glad if you're listening to us in Portland, we're glad you're with us. And thank you all so much for checking us out. We love your pro wrestling. So again, be there, be square, and tell them Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling sent you to the Portland Wrestling Expo 2. One more thing before we get to Eli the Eliminator, and that is our friends at Gideon's Warriors. It's a night of pro wrestling stories and testimony of God's grace and mercy. Pastor Rick Reynolds and all the guys are showing up Sunday, January 18th at 7 p.m. at his house ministries, 4909 Highway 43, Summertown, Tennessee. Y'all go check them out. They're going to be telling their stories about wrestling and also their testimonies, and they can't be beat on that. So, all right, Q, you ready for Eli the Eliminator?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll be right back on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling after these messages. Gideon's Warriors, a night of pro wrestling stories and testimony of God's grace and mercy. Come hear Pastor Rick Reynolds, who you may know as Damien or Forsaken, Shane Morton, Ben Jordan, and Tommy Phillips, aka Shawn Shultz, as they share their experiences in pro wrestling and their personal walks with God. It's all going to be on Sunday, January 18th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at his house ministries, 4909 Highway 43, Summertown, Tennessee. Everyone is welcome. Do not miss this one-time event.
Hey, this is Pastor Rick Reynolds of His House Ministries in Summertown, Tennessee. I'd like to do a personal invitation to everyone to come see us on January 18th, 2026 at 7 o'clock.
Hey, my name is Tammy Reynolds. I am the wife of Forsaken Rick Reynolds, that super cool guy that everybody knows and loves. And I represent West Side Sauces. I make sauces, I bottle them, I seal them, I sell them. I have a hot honey sauce, I have a sweet sauce, I have a hot sauce, I have a white sauce that's so yummy you can use it on everything. They are absolutely amazing and I'm so proud of them. We make them from scratch. So go on our website, westsidesauces.com, check out our products, read about our story, and go online and order you some of these yummy sauces. And Rick actually uses all of the sauces because he is a die-hard smoker and griller, and so he likes really good sauces and rubs, and I make them, so how convenient is that for him? Go on our website, westsidesauces.com, order you some samples, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy them. Thank you guys. Be blessed.
All right, we are back with one more episode of the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And Q, as we talked about in the open, we've got a really cool show today. Today, of course, once again, we are working with the man himself, Captain's Corner, for a Captain's Corner Hidden Treasure virtual signing that's going to happen on Saturday, January 10th on Facebook. And the guy that's going to be on there is our guest today, and his name is Eli the Eliminator, Mad Maxx, whatever you want to call him. Sir, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our pleasure. You know, Nick's been working with us for a year or more now, and we've had a great time, and we're happy to promote his events for him. Are you looking forward to that signing?
I am. I haven't done anything like this in quite a while, so I'm looking forward to it.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah. Well, we hope you do awesome, and we're going to be promoting it all over our social medias and everything. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
All right, John. So this is basically I'm sure you've got this from everybody. So who trained you? What year was it? And where was it at?
Okay. Well, the story is kind of a twofold story. I got out of the service in 1983, and I was living down in Frankfort, Indiana, and a gentleman that I was working with down there was friends with an old professional wrestler / promoter. His name was Colonel Buck Robley.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going back in the Wayback Machine. So anyway, we went out to Kansas City, met Buck, and hung out with him for a little while. Got to meet Kerry Von Erich and Brody and Junkyard Dog and a lot of the old mainstays back in those early '80s. Came back, was working out at Purdue, and I ran into a gentleman, and he goes by the name Patriot. His name was Greg Pace. So Greg and I started working out together at Lafayette there, and he says, "Hey, you ever thought about being a wrestler?" And I thought, yeah, not really thought about it. He says, "Well, I'm going to introduce you to Dick the Bruiser." And he worked with me a little bit, took me to the arena, and there's Dave McLean and Dick the Bruiser down counting money. And the story, I'm there, and Greg goes, "Hey, Dick, this is the guy that's telling you about." And Dick looked up kind of out of the corner of his eye in between counting cash, and he goes, "He'll do." So that was my so that was my introduction into professional wrestling. From there, I didn't go to any real formal training. They just threw me into the dogs, and I learned the hard way. So,
man.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was exciting. It was something I never thought in a million years I'd be doing, and that's that. And I just kind of learned the ropes from some of the older wrestlers. Jerry Valiant was there. Dr. Jerry Graham. I'm sorry, not Jerry. Johnny Valiant was there, and Guy Mitchell, and one of my first partners, and they all worked with me, and kind of nudged me along, and this is what you got to do, this is what you got to do, and watch out for this. But there was a lot of watch out for this I didn't catch till after it happened. So, but that's so that's how that all started back in 1983.
So do you remember your first match and who it was against?
I don't remember. I want to say it was probably back then. It was probably El Bracero.
Oh.
And I was probably tagging. I'm going to say it was a tag match, and it might have been Nacho Barrera, and I'm thinking it was El Bracero, me and Johnny Valiant.
Okay.
That goes back to, so it was, that was before I met Sam and stuff. So Sam didn't, we didn't become tag partners till probably 8 months down the road or so, 8 or 9 months, maybe even a year. So I was going by myself and just tagging with, like I said, Jerry Graham and Johnny Valiant. So, kind of hung between those guys, and once Abdul, the great Abdul, and not Abdul the Butcher, but the great Abdul.
Yeah.
That's they kind of tagged me with the old veterans, the older veterans.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of teach me the ropes,
Yeah.
Well,
speaking of veterans, you brought a great story up about this guy already, but do you have any good Dick the Bruiser stories from that time?
I'm going to tell you what. I didn't realize that Dick was a Purdue alum.
Uh-huh.
So he played football for Purdue, and he went to Green Bay Packers and played for the Packers. I didn't realize he got his voice box crushed when he was playing at Green Bay. So that's why Dick had that voice. And old gravelly, you thought it was a gimmick, but it wasn't. That's the way he talked.
Right.
And I want to say he was probably the toughest guy, just the way he lived his life. Yeah. He was probably the toughest guy I've met. Just he was playing with aches and pains, and not playing, but performing with the aches and pains. He was up in age, and he was out there every night. And you don't see too many things bothering him. You know what I mean? So
right.
Physically, he was I imagine back in his heyday, he was quite a specimen, you know.
A bruiser.
Yeah.
So
reading up on him, yeah.
So he had to be in his late 50s around then.
I'm going to say, yeah. I think he passed away in mid 60s. So he had to have been in his mid 50s at the time.
Okay.
Because he ran up until the late 80s, and he was still even in the late 80s. He'd still working there now. But in the early 80s, he was still that WWA was still running strong. In the early 80s, he was so.
Yeah, I think he was. He was up to the end. I did see him at the Pavilion in Chicago, and back then I think it was still crying out loud. I can't think of it. I think it was NWA. I think back then it still had Sid Vicious. They had I seen Terry Taylor there, and this was probably mid 90s. I stopped in to see some of the guys, you know, and just to say hey. And Dick was a special referee. Talked to him for a while. It was good to see him and talk to him for a while. And then shortly after that's when he passed. So it was kind of good to see him. He wasn't working at that time, but it was a special referee. And I remember they had a pretty packed show. I want to say with NWA, but there's been so many different groups that have resurfaced through the years. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, how did you get the name Mad Maxx?
That was Dave McLean.
Okay.
And Dick the Bruiser. So Dave, Dave, they put that moniker on me, and I ran with that for several years. And then when I went to Japan, the second tour was with Sam DeCero, who was my partner at that time, and I was over there with Dugan and some of the other guys, and the Von Erichs, and Jim and I became buddies, and he brought me into the UWF when I got back from Japan.
Okay.
So that's when that name changed to Eli, and that Michael Hayes put that moniker on me.
Okay.
Just pre Devastation Incorporated.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I can't wait to talk about that. Well, tell us a little bit about Super Maxx then.
Okay. Well, actually, believe it or not, Sam ran and owned Windy City Wrestling.
Yeah.
And he sold that business. I want to say it's probably at least 10 years ago, probably longer. Actually, we got to meet up. I was on a job site. So I'm a retired carpenter.
Okay.
And, I worked in the trades. I ran work for decades. I'm retired. I'm working for a utility contractor as a representative, and I'm doing this job. And he's in the town. He works on the town commission, the zoning commission stuff, code enforcement. So I ran into an old retired carpenter. I saw it. He goes, "Hey, Sam's out and about." I said, "Well, this is where I'm at today." So believe it or not, Sam showed up, and we got to catch up. I hadn't seen Sam in decades. Yeah, we had, and he lives Northwest Indiana. He retired from the city of Chicago, and so had the business for I don't know how many 15 years I think he had in Windy City.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we got to catch up. It was just last summer. Got to catch up with him, and it was good to see him. It was really good to see him. Yeah, we have other lives besides wrestling.
Hey, John, for the listeners, who might know, that's Sam Darrow, right?
Yeah, Slam and Sammy Darrow, and then then when we got together, Dick and Dave McLean put us together as the Maxx brothers. That's when it became Super Maxx.
Okay.
Hey, John, was Wilbur Schneider? Was Wilbur Schneider still with WWA working with? He gone by the time you got there?
No, he was gone. Bobo was still there. Moose Sholok was still there. Who else was there? Jeff Van Camp was there. Stormy Granzik, Spike Huber, Rooster, the J.R. Hogs. Trying to think of course, Bracero, Nacho was there. I can't think of some of the names elude me right now, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of good guys. It was a lot of fun working for Dick.
That's
Just,
awesome. Yeah.
Real carnival atmosphere, just it was still a territory, and that had that vibe to it, so it was good.
So but AWA, that WWA, I'm sorry, WWA.
Yeah.
Was there any story that just really stuck out about your time there, like a road car trip, dressing room, or hotel room? Any story just really sticks out in your mind about that time in the WWA?
Not a whole lot sticks out. It was kind of a blur, and once I got a little more established, and started branching out. That's when the story started getting a little more exciting.
Oh, yeah. So you talk about branching out. So in 1984, you show up in Florida. How'd you get booked down there?
I think, like I said, wow, I went down there for just like a short stint. I was down there. I was one of the Japanese promoters. They wanted New Japan Pro Wrestling wanted me to get more work.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot think of the promoter because they wanted me to go to Calgary, and I didn't want to go. I wasn't ready to go out of the country, at that time. Puerto Rico, and I just wasn't ready to go out. I wasn't that. Yeah, I didn't know nothing, and so I cannot think of the name, but of the Japanese promoter, but that was about that time. I went down there for a few weeks, worked with I was at the nothing down there, just getting rolled up, and kind of just jobbing basically. But I remember riding with Lex Luger and I cannot think of the tag team. They were real hot down in Florida at the time. Stan Lane.
The Fabs. Are you talking about?
Yeah, I think it was them. So it was interesting to see some really big houses, some packed houses. But I was still in my I want to call it the apprenticeship stage, So I did that for a short while. Basically, I was just down there for a few weeks, maybe a month, and then came back. I want to say I went to, if I didn't come back to Indianapolis, I went down to San Antonio and worked for Blanchard Senior, and that's where Mark Lewin and Bruiser Brody, and I got to meet the Purple Haze and work shows down there, and
nice.
Kind of get a little more established, working more of the brawler style,
Definitely.
Was it Tully Senior? I think it was. It was still
Joe
running the show down there, and his son. So he was there. Who was Lewin's manager? He just passed away.
Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan, yeah. Kevin Sullivan was down there.
That's awesome.
So I got to learn a little bit more, get around, more. It was a build, just like anything. You build up and then off to Japan and then learned a lot there, different style.
Yeah.
I was in Japan 3 times, working over there for Noki. And, but yeah, my last time back from Japan was went straight to the UWF. That was the big push right there.
No doubt.
And that's where it became part of Devastation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you have any memories of Eddie Graham when you were down there in Florida? Did you ever?
No.
Because I know you went down there long, so I didn't know if you had many interactions with Eddie or not.
No, none that I can recall. I would think I would have remembered that. So, a lot of things I don't remember. Talking with with Sam, he's like, "You remember this?" I go, "Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what. I had so many chairs to the head. I do not remember some of this stuff. I just don't." So.
Well, I truly hope you remember this one because I've got a good one here. So last night, Quinton doing his research, he sent me a video of you wrestling with a tag team partner. We saw a match where you tagged with George Weingroff, a.k.a. at this time, King Cobra. George is a good friend of the show. He's been on a few times, and he's a good buddy. And he told me this. So I sent him the video, and he calls me, and he says, "Jimmy, I got a story." So he says, that you were in a Fort Lauderdale locker room, okay? And you were about to work Dutch Mantell for the first time, I guess. And George remembers you saying to Dutch, "I didn't think I was going to have to wrestle a bear." Because Dutch was so hairy. And apparently
Gotcha.
Dutch no-sold it. He didn't think it was as funny. And do you remember that by chance?
I don't. Like I said, it's a lot of that early stuff was such a like a blur, you know. I mean, I didn't know the status of a lot of the guys I was working. You know,
Right.
I didn't follow it. I never followed it. I just found myself in it, and so it was like, you know, I look back at working for Dick. That was like an honor, you know.
Yeah.
And back then, it was just like he was just another guy, you know. And so I wasn't a fan and got into it. I just happened to the chips fell my way and I got into it, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to get you any delayed heat on this. I'm just saying it was a funny story. So he was pretty hairy at one time. So
yeah, yeah. I remember he would be down. I think I want to say I ran into him down into the Texas, Texas days too. You know, so that was back with either Blanchard and San Antonio or with the Von Erickson.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So in '85, you said you were in San Antonio, and around early '85, Fred Behrens had bought Southwest from the Blanchards, and we've had a guy on before talk about Texas All-Star, how it changed, and how Fred Behrens was not very. I don't try to be polite about this. Wasn't known for his payoffs being very, very well.
Well, that was pretty much I mean, payoffs were a little sketchy at times, and but I mean, you got your payoff, but it might be a little short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you like
historically?
Yeah. So did you like working down there in Texas All-Star? Because I know, like you said, Brody. I mean, because I've seen Brody down there when you were down there. So I know you wasn't there long either in Texas All-Star in '85. So how did you like working down there?
I like that. I met Hacksaw Higgins down there. I really like that guy. You remember
That's a
him?
good guy.
So he was a lot of fun. It was like I said, every little area I worked was kind of a stepping stone.
I wasn't established by any means, so it was kind of you're thrown into circumstances and you have to learn. You know, so I consider that like part of the apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't have any formal training, so I learned. I did learn to respect. I watched certain people, and Brody was I've always, like I said, I met him early on. Buck and him were real close.
Yeah.
And I want to attribute a lot of Brody's, his mannerisms and stuff from Colonel, from Buck Rowley. I know that Buck had a persona. And he's a tough old guy too, you know.
Oh, I bet.
He's got some funny Buck Rowley stories.
Well, let's hear one.
Tell us about Buck. Tell us about him.
He, when I was down there, just getting familiar with the business, not even broke in, but just getting familiar. So we're driving. He had a big old Lincoln, and we're in Kansas City, and we're driving to a match about an hour and a half out. It's at a Army base. I'm not sure what the base was, but it was out in the middle of nowhere, and it had snowed quite heavily, so the roads were pretty icy, a lot of buildup along, from the plows and stuff. And he is flying. We're flying down the interstate over 100 miles an hour, and he pulls into the gas station, and the Kansas state trooper pulls up behind us, and you see that nightstick tap on the window. Tap, tap, tap. Buck rolled his window down halfway and goes, "Fill it up." Rolled the window back up. Yeah, we looked at each other and go, "We're going to jail." Well, they let him go. They went and did a DUI check on him. They let him go. He was okay. we get to the arena, do the show, we come back. We get in Kansas City, they're waiting for us.
Oh.
They arrest him. He bails himself out. But it was like that just that tapping on for that state trooper, just that was like something that stuck in my head. Like, oh my God, this guy's nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah. He was interesting. Interesting character. I worked for him years later, down in New Orleans when the NWF.
NWF. Yep. NWF.
Yeah, NWF. Yeah, we had a little thing down there going, so that was fun.
Well, that is cool.
Fun. That was at the very end. Yeah, but the old Buck Robley story. Yeah.
So in 1986, you brought this up a little bit, but you did a tour of Japan for New Japan, and you worked some of the biggest names ever, like Inoki and Fujinami and stuff. How was your overall Japan experience?
Oh, it was really good. I worked in Inoki and I said Fujinami and was it Muto? I think it was. He was young rising star of Japan.
Yeah,
and it was my third tour of Japan, and me and Bad News Brown tagged together over there. Remember him?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Bad News Allen, they call him. Bad News Brown. I think when he went to New York, it was Bad News Allen, but anyway, it was he was trained in the Olympics in martial arts and stuff, so he was a good guy. But we worked over there, and it was getting at the end of the tour. We're all kind of getting a little bored, so we're doing Sakaguchi and I think it was Muto, the kid. And so I says, okay, news. So this is what we're gonna do. So I had a 35 millimeter, the old film case.
Oh yeah.
I had some clean chewing tobacco, some skull. I had it and put some water in it, so it wasn't spit. It was just water. I says, okay, so we're gonna get the kid. You're gonna gut him, and then when you bring him over the corner, you gut him, and when he takes that air in, I'm gonna dump it down his throat. So I had this stuff in my tights were working. I pull it out. I'm starting to shake it up a little bit, mix it up, and then News give him the nod. He brings him over the corner and guts him, and then I dump stuff down his throat, and he spit like the great Kabuki. Man, did Sakaguchi get pissed at me? He fired me for that.
Oh man.
That was like our second to last match over there. So they take you in, they pay you, and I said, so when you want me back, boss? And he's like, we know want you back. Oops, okay.
Oh.
So, for the young guys out there, don't do that.
Yeah.
Unless you want to get fired. But yeah, it was kind of just, all the guys come out. We had a Raging Bull, all them guys were over there. Manny Fernandez and they're outside the lock, watching the show, and they're just laughing like crazy, But the kid was fine with it. He came in afterwards, and we talked. He's like, no problem. It was all good. But Sakaguchi didn't like it. So
yeah, man.
That was end of an era.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
We'll be right back with more Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Back by popular demand, the Portland Wrestling Expo 2 returns to the Holiday Inn Portland Airport on Saturday, February 21st. Already announced our WWE Hall of Famer, The Godfather, the legendary manager of the Road Warriors, Precious Paul Ellering, Scott Flash Norton, the world's strongest man, Ken Patera, Hustler Rip Rogers, and Portland legend, The Grappler. More announcements to come in the weeks to come. Tickets start as low as $25, so head on over to pwexpo.com to reserve your tickets now.
Hey, John, so on that tour you're talking about, that was in 87. It was during the Toyukan series, and like I said, you and Bad News teamed up a lot, but also I noticed you and Daryl Peterson, which is Max Payne, Yeah. I noticed y'all teamed up a lot in that series too. Do you got any stories about Daryl Peterson, Max Payne?
No, just he was a good guy. I really liked Daryl. He was a big guy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Was able to move and stuff like that. And they put us together several times over there. And he was just really a good guy. A lot of guys I worked with were really good, solid guys. There's a few sketchy ones, but that's in every job they do,
Right.
But,
right.
But yeah, Daryl was a good guy. I don't know what happened to him after that. Maybe you can fill me in. Where did he go after that? Because I kind of lost touch.
Yeah.
With some of the guys,
He came to the States, and then he went to Memphis, and then he went to WCW, and then he went to WWF. And we actually just had him on the show, and he had a band, and they made music with. He had a wrestling band with Road Dogg and Nick Patrick, and we had a show called Living Insanity, all about it. Go check that out. But anyway, Max is good. He's a dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah. Very good. Like I said, I lost touch with a lot of guys through the years, and. Actually, I know I had a picture. He did the promo. I have to dig them out.
Yeah.
The box of old photos and all that kind of stuff, and kind of refresh my memory before next week.
Yeah. Well, if you want to get in touch with him, I can help you out with that, man. After the show, we'll hook it up. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, John, you briefly talked about going into DWF. How was it working for Bill Watts?
Bill was. It was fine. I didn't have any issue. He was I think he was a fair taskmaster. I mean, he was running that was probably the top show at that time.
One of, if not, yeah.
Yeah, because I know at that time, shortly thereafter, they pulled Jim. Vince pulled Jim to New York, and then guys started. Migrating that way to WWF, and I know there was some really good bouts with Ted DiBiase and us, and Dugan and Terry Taylor and Chavo and Steve Williams, Dr. Death. I mean, the Freebirds. Man, we had so many. Sting and Steiner, we had so many
hot stuff. Eddie Gilbert, yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. It was like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, the talent y'all were loaded with talent at that time. It was crazy how much talent was there at that time.
Yeah, and actually, believe it or not, when I left the business, I just walked away. No hard feelings, nothing like that. I just got on with life, but recently here. I found a little indie promotion here in Northwest Indiana, and I'm a Shriner, so I was the president of the board this last year, and I brought this promotion in.
Yeah,
and it's a small little indie program, but man, I'm telling you what, it was like the old days. It was like the old, and that's how they promote themselves. Just we're not flash. We're just coming in and we're just doing the old style 80s wrestling, and it was really good young talent and stuff, and really enjoyed it. Well, one of their champs, he remembered me. He goes, "Hey, you remember that ring?" I go, "The one from UWF." He goes, "Yeah." I bought it. I go, "You kidding me?"
Wow.
He goes, they bought it, sandblasted it, recoated it. So I'm thinking, that's pretty cool. I says, you can realize all the memories in that ring, all the matches that went on in that
Seriously.
ring. I mean, you probably had, my gosh, I want to say, I want to say it was the best territory to work without the attitudes. You know what I mean? With all that talent.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
And, everybody worked. You still had this and that. That's just normal. But everybody seemed to just do the job. Just work together, and they built this promotion. It was phenomenal.
That's cool.
And, Scandor. Scandor was awesome. Wild Bill. I still keep in touch with Wild Bill. And I know the gang. Well, George, what a wonderful guy he was. He was just.
Oh man.
He was just the guys were. The talent was unbelievable, and to be a part of that was kind of like the high spot, my career,
No doubt.
But anyway.
You got to tell us a Skandar Akbar story. I mean,
Yeah, he was. He used to was a power lifter in the Army.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was doing a job, so like I said, I'm a retired union carpenter, and I was a superintendent for over a couple decades. And I'm running some work up at the refinery here in Whiting, Indiana. In BP, and one of the contractors, one of the superintendents, general superintendents from Fluor, which is a big worldwide company, he goes, they knew they wrestled. They said, "You knew Skandar Akbar?" I go, "Yeah." I said, "He was my manager." He goes, "When we were kids, he lived down the street from us in Oklahoma." Well, that's a pretty good. The guy was an awesome guy. He was so funny.
Yeah.
Just old school. Them old guys were just, the Ox Bakers and the Bobo Brazils, the Moose Trollocs. Those guys, they had such cool stories, and they're just amazing and funny,
Great,
really
great.
Made it a treat,
What a great voice too, Skandar just had that voice about him, like,
oh man,
awesome.
yeah, exactly. He was a very unlikable fella. He brought a lot of heat, and Debussy, he was fun.
So you go from the UWF, right? So it's a stacked lineup to another. I mean, then you show up in world class, and you're part of H&H International with my personal favorite manager of all time, Gary Hart and Jim Holiday. How was it working with Gary?
Great. Both managers were really, really good to work with. That was a lot of fun. There we had. Spike was down there, so I had somebody from back home,
right?
That I could, hang out with a little bit, so you'd Spike, and of course we had, Jeep Swinson came in for a while. Yep. Remember him?
What a gigantic dude that guy was.
Dude, we're in the locker room at Fort Worth, so it's we had the Barbarian down there.
Oh man!
So it was me. Barbarian and Jeep Swinson were going to be, the heels down there, the main heels. So anyway, I'm working that particular night. Jeep starts. So Tony and I are talking. Tony Atlas and I were doing a match. We're talking, and Tony is, just a bodybuilder, just a massive specimen in there.
Yeah.
We're sitting there talking. All of a sudden, Jeep walked in. And we all just stopped. We're like, look at this guy. He just walked in, and dude with 26-inch arms with a vein.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
He had like a 44-inch waist. The guy was just a massive guy. He walked in. Tony go, "Man, you ain't nothing, man." This guy was huge. One of the nicest guys in the world, man. He's just unbelievable nice guy. And I heard he passed on shortly thereafter, with massive heart failure. But what a nice guy. Me and him and Nord the Barbarian with Jim Holiday and Gary Hart. That was a fun group.
Do you have any Nord partying stories?
No, I never. You know what? When I did all this stuff, I didn't hang with a lot of guys.
Okay, gotcha.
And I did my thing. I kind of did my thing like down there. I used to ride my Harley to the shows.
Okay.
So I'd be down in Texas. I had an old panhead chopper, and I would ride that to the shows, do my show, and then go back to Fort Worth.
Okay.
I kind of I didn't hang with a lot of guys. But I heard Nora was pretty wild, but
yeah,
I never went to any parties. Like I said, I hung by myself.
I don't blame you. You know, you probably saved a lot of money because of that, so.
Saved a lot of money and saved probably some jail time.
Yeah, again, money. Yeah. So, well, you were working in this legendary promotion and all that, but what are your memories of the Sportatorium? And this is always an interesting answer.
It was the Mecca, but it was a toilet.
Yeah.
It was a dump. But you know what? You walked in there and it was like there's something about it.
Yeah.
And, it was an old tin shack, basically. The locker rooms were a joke. But it just, the spirit of wrestling was amazing there, you know.
Right.
People just, you know, and it was like, it was an honor to wrestle there. Like I said, physically, the place was a dump, but it was a cool dump. I wrestled in the amphitheater in Chicago, same thing. It was a dump, but you look back at the history of the amphitheater in Chicago, amazing. I did a cage match there with Jim Neidhart years ago.
Cool.
So, you know, that was a good bloody mess.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm glad to say I wrestled in the amphitheater. You know, these old school venues were just cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were run down and stuff, but they were cool.
The smell of old popcorn and cigarette smoke and
it was like, you know, when you're playing Little League and everybody used to smoke when you were a kid. At least when I was a kid, everybody smoked. You smoked in restaurants and you all smelled that cigarette. Now, I don't smoke, but I smell a cigarette. It takes me right back to Little League.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
Smoke, you know, you have that cigarette smoke walking through the dugout, and you're like, it just throws you back to that when you're 8 years old, you know.
Yeah.
You're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, and we'll be right back after these messages.
CHW is continuing the legacy of historic professional wrestling in Tennessee with monthly events at the Armory in Ashland City. CHW owner Mike Green has made it his mission to present the best pro wrestling shows in the Nashville area, and he has been delivering the goods. CHW Wrestling combines all the elements that Tennessee wrestling fans have come to expect. Action, suspense, athleticism, reality, stories, surprises, and excitement, all delivered by the finest professional wrestlers this state has to offer. Follow CHW Pro Wrestling on Facebook for the latest news, announcements, and show dates. And subscribe to Championship Productions on YouTube to see past events like the Ashland City Rumble and the Valentine's Massacre. Fun for the whole family with delicious and affordable concessions on site. Witness the action and excitement of CHW in Ashland City at the Armory. Family Wars, Love and Hate, Championship Gold. A CHW event is everything you're looking for in a night of live entertainment.
Hey, John, I got a question.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere where you rode your Harley actually to the ring at the Sportatorium. Is that true? How did you get it in there?
Believe it or not, took some finagling. There's a man door on the side of the building, and because I almost didn't get to do it in there, I almost didn't fit the bike through. But I had to wiggle my handlebars through it and get it kind of finagled. Then I had to get Jim Holiday on the back of it and ride into the ring. So Jim rode into the ring with me on the back, and I would take that around in Fort Worth and other venues and ride into the ring. So I found a way. But there was a service door that I was able to sneak it through, just kind of barely get it through.
Wow!
And getting it out was a suicide shift too. So it was a jockey shift. It wasn't a hand clutch. It was a foot clutch with the shifter on the side. So getting it out was exciting because you're going uphill and you had to stop and get through the door. But we got it through.
Yeah.
But I used to ride that bike all over Dallas, and people just be like, Eli, and
that's awesome.
And stuff. Yeah. I was that. That's what I was doing. I was an old biker,
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
I wasn't, it wasn't a gimmick to me. That was me.
Yeah.
And so it was an easy sell because there was no no finagling about it. It's just that's my lifestyle, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
A couple groups would follow me, and I'd go hang out with them a little bit after the shows if I was in the area, and that would off to the next one.
That's awesome. So do you think? Okay, what time frame? What year do you think you did that?
That was back there with the Von Erichs towards the end.
Okay. I'm just curious if Taker could have seen this and taken it. I know you're probably not the first person to ride a motorcycle in the building of maybe the Sportatorium, but not a building. Somebody had done it before at least once. But do you think maybe Taker saw that and was like, hey, that's a good idea for me? I don't know. This is crazy, I guess. But
actually, the story about him, when I was working for the Von Erichs, Spike Huber was running the book for a promotion out of Central Illinois.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, it's getting too much for me. I'm just going to hang down in Dallas. Do you want to take it over? I'll hook you up. I said, yeah, I'll take the book over. So Brad Davis was the name of the gentleman. He's since been passed on. Great guy. Really loved the business. Was just loved it. And he was fun to work with. He was honest. Believe it or not, he was just an honest guy.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do this promotion. So I would go up and run the book. We'd bring Brody and Abdullah, the butcher in, and bring different guys in and stuff like that. So I do shows in Texas and fly up and do shows for him. And he comes to me and goes, hey, John, we got this guy. He's green as grass, but I think he's going to be something one day. And I go, okay, well, cool. Let's bring him in. And it was Mark. And so he comes in the locker, to the locker room, and he's got the high and tight. Back then he was a commando. That was his gimmick. He had the camouflage pants and the black tank top and high and tight. And work with him. We had a ring set up and would work with him and stuff like that. And sure enough, the guy was just phenomenal. Abdullah came in for a few shows, really liked him, and got him hooked up down south. But that's when he became Twin Towers,
Right.
And then he was walking the top rope, and next thing you know, Vince swallows him up. So this happened pretty quick, probably within a year and a half's time, right?
Yeah.
Just how fast. He was such a talent, and there again, another really nice guy, just an awesome, down to earth, humble guy, and he made it big, and I'm glad for him because, like I said, he was just a good solid guy, And
yeah.
But anyway, so I was doing that inverted pile driver for quite a while now, and next thing you know, I see him as Undertaker doing the inverted pile driver. I go, So, of course, Dino Bravo was doing it, and I saw that, and I liked it, so I kind of borrowed it from Dino Bravo too. So,
okay,
we all kind of we don't steal moves, we just borrow them for a while,
right,
and,
pass it
make
on.
them our own for a little while, and then the next guy, next generation, whatever. But yeah, my knees are paying for it every day. So I would suggest new guys out there don't do that. Don't do that move. Not good.
All right, so in 1991, you show up in Memphis. You had a real short run there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any memories of that short run in 91?
It was, I went down there, so I was working in the trades, and it come wintertime up here, so I got hooked up with a Lawler down there, so I went down there to basically just do the wintertime and come back and go back to work. Because I knew that, deep down you kind of know you're not going to get to the New York level, and
right.
I kind of, I was limited. I was a brawler. I wasn't real technical by any means. And I'll tell you straight out, I wasn't a good worker, I didn't hurt you, but I wasn't that great of a technical worker and stuff like that. So that was going to be my downfall. And, but yeah, I went down there and worked and hooked up with Stormy Granzik for a little bit down there. And then I could see that I was just going to be nothing, down there. And then went back to work. And that was pretty much getting towards the end of my stint, and kind of, I guess you just look at yourself and go, I'm not going to go to that next level. So it's time to just, pack it in and get on with life. And that's kind of where that was in my career as a professional wrestler. So, no hard feelings. It's just, but yeah, it was, I remember I actually pulled some tapes of the old Memphis, and I cannot remember some of the matches. Believe it or not, I'm going, that's me, but I cannot remember that match.
Yeah.
And, it was pretty much that short of a set,
Okay.
So did some house shows. It was just, I think Humongous was down there at the time, I think, or just before, or after Jeff Van Camp.
Right.
I think it was just after that, maybe. He was pretty hot down there. And I believe that Jeff became a state trooper in Florida and retired. But he was a real good guy. Played football for Louisville. And then got hooked up with Dick. And then after that, he didn't hear from him. And all of a sudden, he had Lord Humongous,
Oh, yeah.
He did stick with that. So.
What a cool gimmick that was, too, So.
Oh, man. Yeah. Amazing.
So you talked about this promotion a little earlier, but did you ever actually officially work for Windy City Wrestling?
I come in and do a few shows here and there for Sam.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
okay.
I would come back as Mad Max, and we would do, like, tag team stuff together.
Yeah.
So, at that time, it wasn't hurting, wasn't no big deal, because most of my wrestling was down south after Dick the Bruiser, so after, the WWA, everything was down south after that,
So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. Obviously, the UWF goes to Crockett, and then WCW occurs, and then World Class, and you go. Did you ever think about trying to go to Crockett with that, or was that just not, like, once you wrapped up in Memphis, did you think about trying to go to WCW at all? Or?
It was, you know what, it was that time.
Okay.
And like, I was single. So it's a lot better as a single man doing this. I mean, just with the travel and stuff, and how sporadic the business is. And when I got married, and when my daughter was born, that's pretty much was the point. I would fly down and do the shows for the down in New Orleans for when Buck was running the book down there. I was tapering off. I would go down and do the weekends, and then come back up and work. And it just got to the point where, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to be a dad. I got a daughter here. I've seen too many guys ruin their marriages with this business.
Yeah, that's admirable.
So I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm good with it. And I basically, I got called. Hey, I go, no, I'm done. My last show was in Chicago, and I can't remember who I worked for even. It was an outside promotion, but we had Jake the Snake, we had King Kong Bundy, Axon Dugan was there, Ricky Steamboat. Man, it was a really good. I was working. I used to be the Russian, not Koloff.
Zukov?
Part of Axe and Smash.
Barry Darso, Crusher Khrushchev.
Yeah. Barry. I worked Barry that night, and Jake the Snake came out, and at the very end, it was a good little match, and that was it. After that, it was like, okay, you know what? The thrill is now raising my family.
Yeah,
and
it's out of your system.
You know what I mean? I was able just to walk away and say, I'm good with it, and no hard feelings, and I just stepped back and became a dad and started running work and really enjoying the career as a carpenter,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, dude, that's admirable, brother. That's awesome. That's the right thing to do right there. That was the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I had no second guessings about it, And I look back now and go, yeah, you know what? Could I have? Possibly. But you know what? I'm pretty excited for what I did, and what I was around, and the guys I got to meet, and it was another life.
Yeah.
Where a lot of guys never get that opportunity, and so I got it, and I'm, it's pretty cool. So going to see shows now, and like I said, I didn't even watch it on TV for forever until I just saw this little promotion and thought, well, let's go give it a try, and sure enough, just good, solid young guys just trying to make it, and they put on a heck of a show and work their butts off.
Well, put them over
That's the way it
again, real
was.
for us. Put them over again, real quick.
Backbreaker Wrestling. Backbreaker Wrestling. Shawn Spinks is the guy that owns it. Him and his wife do it, and is up here in Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, y'all check that out if you're in that area, definitely.
Yeah, there's some good guys. Tolly Blanchard's, not Blanchard, Bartoli. Tolly Bartoli, he's been doing some in and outs with AEW and stuff like that. So he's been around the business. A lot of these guys have been in the business a lot of years and just kind of just doing it to keep doing it. They love the business. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, John, this has been amazing. We really appreciate it. If I have one more thing to say, it is simply this. Saturday, January 10th on Facebook, Captain's Corner, Captain's Hidden Treasure virtual signing. Be there with John, our guest today, a.k.a. Eli the Eliminator. I assume you're going to have some pictures to sign. Do you have anything that, as Nick told you exactly what you've got? I think there's some cards maybe.
I've got some pictures I'll bring down. So
very cool. Sir. And I think there's even a way that you can send some stuff in to get signed. Anyway, get in touch with our buddy Nick at Captain's Corner. But John, this has been an absolute honor, man. This is a great interview, brother. Like, didn't you enjoy this, Q?
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. And guys, go check him out. January 10th on Captain's Corner Facebook. Thank you so much, John.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
You too, sir. Take care.
Okay.
All right. That was the one and only Eli the Eliminator. We'll be right back to wrap things up after these messages on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Listen up, you bunch of slack-jawed flea market freeloaders. If you think you know Memphis wrestling, you don't know nothing till you've heard the Retro Wrestling Review podcast, brother. Every week they're talking the real stuff. Lawler, Jarrett, PG-13, yeah, and even my Moondogs. Watch along, stories from the road, interviews with folks who were in the thick of it, brother. The blood, the beer, and the bail money. It's all on the Wrestlecopia Podcast Network. Go to uswapodcast.com or I'll come down there and I'll slap the taste out of your mouth.
The moondogs are howling, the moondogs are howling, the moondogs are vicious and mean. Tonight the moondogs are looking for trouble, and you can hear it in their scream. So stay out of the swamp, 'cause the full moon is shining big and bright, and you might run into a moondog and meet your maker.
Oh, Q, that was awesome, man. Eli, dude, I guess we call him John. I mean, we called him John during the show, but Eli the Eliminator, Mad Maxx, John Richmond, either way you look at it, we appreciate it, man. What a cool interview. Really surprising, but not, guy did a lot of cool stuff, and his Dick the Bruiser stories. I mean, it was just some funny stuff. What'd you think about that, man?
I thought that was a really good interview. I was, kind of not shocked, but just him being just so modest and just really cool and no arrogant attitude or bitterness.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, bitter because they didn't go here, didn't go there. And for him to walk away on his terms because he wanted to, that's unheard of,
Yeah, definitely. And did some cool, like we said, did some really cool stuff during that time. Then to choose to walk away, yeah, man, he was his own self. Of course, if you want to meet John, Eli, Mad Maxx, however you want to look at it, he'll be on Captain's Corners, Captain's Hidden Treasure virtual signing on January 10th. That'll be on the Captain's Corner Facebook. Follow the link in the notes below. You'll be able to get to the Captain's Corner Facebook and check that out on January 10th. That's this Saturday, January 10th. One more time, Portland Wrestling Expo 2, Saturday, February 25th. 21st, Holiday Inn, Portland Airport, 8439 Northeast Columbia Court, Portland, Oregon. Be there, be square. Tell them, give me back my pro wrestling sent you. Like we said, gonna have Dave Sullivan, Joey Jackson, Precious Paul Ellering, Jules Strongbow, Ken Patera. I'm just going off the top of my head. There's so many more people. Gonna have a Hall of Fame induction ceremony there. Really turning out to be one of the premier conventions, and that's the Portland Wrestling Expo 2. So y'all check that out. Other than that, y'all go to @GMBMPW on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. Thank y'all for liking, sharing, supporting, all that good stuff, but mostly we appreciate you for listening. Hugh, other than that, I got nothing else, man. What about you, brother?
Go buy a shirt.
That's right. Pro Wrestling Tees right now. You can go buy a Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling t-shirt until we decide to take that page down, and maybe we'll introduce a different one. But either way, go buy a shirt. Thank you so much. Check the pages to find out who's coming up next. It's going to be a good one. So for John Richmond, a.k.a. Eli the Eliminator, for the Territory Wrestling Guru Quinton Quarisma, and myself, this has been Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. We'll see y'all next time.
Don't forget,
Devastation Incorporated, General Skandor Akbar, Wild Bill Irwin, Eli, and the UWF Heavyweight Champion, the One Man Gang. A lot of things going on. The UWF Tag Team Tournament, and you also have your hands full with Ted DiBiase.
Hot and heavy, yes. Debussy and the gang. Debussy's learning the difference between men and boys, and a one-man gang is a man, Debussy. In addition to all the fireworks in the UWF, we got this tag team tournament coming on down the line. And those UWF Tag Championships rightfully belong in Devastation Incorporated because they were stolen from us. But the big tag tournament coming up with Wild Bill Irwin and Eli the Eliminator, we're going to show everybody that the UWF belongs to Devastation and nobody else.
That's it, you know. It got a little hot in the kitchen for Duggan, so he's gone. But that's no matter. DiBiase, Debussy, you come on down, and if you can get by the gang, which I doubt, you'll have to step in the ring with myself and Eli.
Well, you know, General, we got the heavyweight title, and it's just a matter of time before Bad Bill Irwin and Eli get the tag team titles. So DiBiase and Doc, you better be on your top game because these two men always are. We're gonna get you a seat, Debussy. We're gonna get you a seat on that airline right next to Duggan because you're gonna need it. And as for Dr. Death, this is not the University of Oklahoma, boy. This is professional wrestling, a man's game. So come on out and take your punishment like a man, Dr. Death. You and anybody else that wants to sign up to that dotted line, because Devastation is number one, and I don't care about the freebirds. I don't care about anybody else. I care about Devastation, and we're number one.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
This has been a James Rock Street production.